Okay, so here we are practicing some recall with Willow, and she's been doing great on a short leash, responding very well. But you can see right there, she actually hit the end of it because she didn't recall when I toned her. So then I had to use stim, and it wasn't quite enough, so she didn't come right back. So, and you can see she gets a little distance, and she starts going really fast. She's like, yeah, I'm making a break for it, I'm going to get away. So here I turned it up a couple points. Now I think we're on a 6. But still, I toned her. She didn't come back. I had to stim, had to hold it down for a minute. So every time that happens, I'll just turn it up a couple more points. And again, she's hitting the end of the leash because she's not coming back when I tone her. So my goal here is to tone her and have her turn around and come back before she hits the end of the leash. But she's just making a break for it. So, but this is important. This is critical. So this is when the dog learns there's no getting away. So I'm toning here, and you can see that time the stimulation, when she didn't respond to the tone and I used stimulation, it had an effect on her. So she didn't spin right around and run back, but it definitely had an impact. So now I've bumped it up to, I think, a 14. That was a 12. So there's your 14. And she responded very well to that. So I'm going to stick with a 14. So my goal is to use whatever level motivates her enough that the next time we won't have to use stimulation at all. So the goal is always to get the dog to just come back when I tone you, and then you can avoid stimulation altogether. So now I'm still on a 14 because the 14 worked really well, and I want to see, is this enough now? Does this do it? When I tone her, is she going to spin around and come back? And you can see she's not trying to make a break for it anymore, so she's starting to figure out that's not working. So right about here, we're going to do it again. Tone. Turnaround came right back. No stim needed. Perfect. And very attentive. So at this point, we'll start giving her a little bit of time to sniff around and just work in the occasional recall. And good. See, so tone, she turns right around, comes back. But she got sidetracked there, kind of lost focus of what we were doing. So then I stim, and she comes over and sits in front of me, which is what I want. So her recall is looking really good. And of course, like I said, we know she had a good understanding of it because it looked great on a short leash. So once they demonstrate that understanding consistently, then we move to the long line. And you can see why, because the first few times I gave her that freedom, she was like, see you later, I'm out of here. So you got to have that long line on there. You can't, that's a big mistake people make, is they try to teach recall without the leash on there, and you just can't. I mean, I'm not going to say there's no way to do it, but you know, if you're using an e-collar, how do you make sure you get the behavior while you're training it? So your dog doesn't know it yet, so you don't know what they're going to do. So that leash is really important. And then this is, you know, the messy middle where the dog learns. They still have to respond the same way they did on a short leash, even when they have freedom. And then once it looks really good, you can take that line off. But she's doing really well. I have found, even though she's really dramatic, really intense, she's very, very respectful of the boundaries once she knows what they are, and she knows that they're consistent and that there's consequences. She'll fall right into line. Her counterpart Winston has actually been a little more challenging, and he's doing well too. But definitely a different temperament dog than Willow. And see, now she's kind of sticking to me, which isn't a bad thing.